Hey there everyone, and to all of my orchid lovers out there, I especially thank you for tuning in to Orchid Oddities with me, Maria Young. Okay, so what we're going to be talking about today is the oddities of orchids. And I especially want to point out three things, but of course there is a number of things with orchids in their uniqueness, because I think what is most alluring about orchids is the simple fact that they come in all sorts of varieties, shapes, sizes, patterns, colors, growth structures, and I think that they are just fabulous, wondrous, beautiful, amazing, fabulous plants. But one of the things that I want to point out is some of the oddities. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Orchid Oddities number 3. Okay folks, so a certain individual approached me today and they knew my fascination about orchids, and they wanted to share these orchid blossoms with me because they felt that they were so stunning and just so beautiful in color, which they really are. And this person was quite amazed that, you know, these orchids would grow like this, with this type of coloration. And wouldn't you think so? I mean, wow, that these orchids could actually grow like this in nature. Stunning. Wait a minute. Hold that thought. Okay, folks. Orchids do not grow like this naturally, okay? What they used here, folks, and I know it is beautiful, it is stunning, it is quite alluring, but what they use here, folks, is actually color dye. And they either inject this plant with the color blue, or they actually put the roots in that dye. And this will become that certain unique, very rare coloration, which is absolutely fake, okay? This is actually a dendrobium, and you know, it's quite common to see dendrobiums in purple. So what these people did is they decided to add a certain color, blue. Now I know you guys also have seen the phalaenopsises that are blue, fake blue, because they also do not grow naturally in the color blue. Okay? Now, one thing that I hate, absolutely loathe about that is the simple fact that they do not put a tag on these orchids to inform unsuspecting customers that these orchids do not come like this and it is not their natural color. Therefore, once that bloom cycle is over and they bloom again, it will originate right back to its natural color, which is not blue. Okay, folks, first let me tell you, blue is a very unnatural color for orchids, okay? I know you may have seen some orchids that appear blue. Well, guess what? It is actually not considered blue at all. Those orchids that grow naturally with a blue tinge or a hint of blue, that color is actually indigo. Okay, and I know you guys have seen the black orchids, right? Because that's kind of similar too. They don't consider it a black orchid. There's no such a thing, folks. But what they do consider it is a very, 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 did I mention, very dark purple, which of course appears to be black. So folks, again, this is not its true coloration. This is an orchid oddity. And I really wish they would put that tag on there, because I know if I was unsuspecting and did not know about orchids and I bought it, I would be fuming, absolutely mad to find out that these actually are not this color. Orchid Oddities number 2. Okay folks, so as of recently, I added a brand new orchid to my collection, and I'm very, very excited about her. Now, this orchid right here is a UFO, and if you guys have watched my videos, you guys know what UFO means. This is an unidentified yet still fabulous orchid, and that she definitely is. Now, being that she does not have a name, does not mean that she should run around nameless and shameless. So I went ahead and gave her a name, and her name is Cherry Blossom Girl orchid. Ah, so dainty. Her blossoms just really remind me of a cherry blossom. And if you look closely, the branches actually also mimic a cherry blossom branch. So that is indeed how I came to name her. Okay, so another interesting thing about Cherry Blossom Girl here is the fact that she is a pyloric orchid. Now, in case you guys don't know what a pyloric orchid is, let's start with the definition of pyloric. Pyloric comes from a Greek term which means monstrosity or monster, which I really don't think that they meant it as in something that you should be afraid of and something that's very hideous and scary and despicable, because she is not that at all. But I think they said that in the term and in the context of it being just unique and indeed an orchid oddity. Okay, so let's talk about how pyloric orchids occur. Okay, this actually can occur in nature, and also it can become man-made, okay? And in nature, as you guys all know, in several different things, whether it be human life or plant life or whatever, okay, there are certain times where there are mutations, where it actually does not grow exactly how everything else does, or it just does not look normal. And in this case, with the mutations, what it normally does is it duplicates something within the orchid blossom. Whether it be their lips and throats, their sepals and petals, patterns, I mean, it can be duplicated throughout this blossom, where it really gives it such a unique look, and definitely an orchid oddity. So let's go ahead and take a closer look of what makes this so odd. Okay folks, and now we're just going to take a closer look and see if you guys can see the exact oddity of this orchid. Okay, so as you can see here folks, some of the oddities on these blossoms, which is very, strange, because all of the orchid blossoms are not actually identical, and that can happen in pyloric orchids. Either they all could be identical to one another, or different blossoms can give off different mutations, and that's what's happened in this orchid right here. Now, as we take a closer up look, you will see that the two lips and also the throat actually is doubled. It was duplicated twice. And then you see the pollen caps, which is up here, normally one. There's actually 1, 2, and 3 on here. And if you look, the sepals and also the petals have been duplicated, and you will actually see 8 sepals and blossoms on here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and in the back 5, 6, 7, and 8. So 8 sepals and petals on this. Now if we move to the back one, you will notice that this actually has only 1 throat and lip right here. But you will notice the 2 pollen caps right there. And of course the 8 sepals and petals again. And if we turn right here, this one right here is very, very odd, because it has, again, the 8 sepals and petals. Then it has the 2 throat and lips and 2 pollen caps. But if you look at this one right here, you will see 2 patterns on the lip and the throat. You will see the pattern of what is normally on the lip and the throat on one side, and on the other side you will actually see the pattern of what the petals and sepals are. So that is yet another mutation. And if we go ahead and take a look towards the back, because that is where the actual buds are still forming, you will see different shapes of these buds as well. This one actually appears
to be splitting in two. So two buds actually in one, and then this one looks almost that way. It looks like it started trying to separate. This one actually has a mutation where the top portion doesn't seem to have developed all the way. And then this one is, again, one of the buds, or yeah, buds that appear to want to split but just didn't get an opportunity to. So even in this case, as you can see, the buds are not similar to one another, so you already know that they are also going to give different blossoms. Now, one thing that I love about this is the branching effect that it has, and that's why I call it the cherry blossom girl, because definitely, you know, the flower, of course, looks kind of like a cherry blossom, and also the branches. Really love that, guys, because the nodes on here actually develop these branches, and that's why you still have this still not blossomed with the rest of them. And if we come down to this other node here, see if I can show you guys, you'll actually see a branch peeking through here. So it's going to give off another branch of blossoms. And also, you will notice that in this plant, you see the curvature of the winding kind of snake-like spike. I notice a lot of curves in this plant right here. I mean, even with the leaves are just very curvy, frilly in shape. So definitely a very unique orchid. Now, you know, Pyloric orchids have gained popularity in the simple fact that, you know, now you can kind of customize, you know, the orchid color and shape and also different patterns throughout, and really make some spectacular mutations. And folks, I want to let you know, just because this is considered a mutant orchid or a Pyloric orchid does not mean that it is a weak plant, because they grow prolific and they actually are just regular orchids. It's just, of course, they just have very different appearance. That's all. And although Pyloric orchids are not for everyone, I definitely believe that it gives a wonderful opportunity to those that do like these types of orchids to have something so unique, and definitely such an orchid oddity.
Orchid Oddities #1. Okay, last but not least, because this is actually my favorite orchid oddity here, I actually had a conversation with a very good friend and a fellow YouTuber that goes under the name of Buckeye Orchid, also Derek, and me and him is very, very good friends, because you could only imagine the great conversations that we have. No, don't imagine it, guys. It kind of goes... Anyways, okay, so we had a little conversation, and I was telling him about a brand new phenomenal orchid that I had, and I was going to make a video of, and he definitely wanted to know, but he asked me to go ahead and give him a hint. So I went ahead and gave him a hint, and what I told him was Men in Black, and also Out of This World, which what he replied was, you know, basically asking me, was I abducted? Derek, you are absolutely right. I was abducted. I was abducted by this orchid right here. Because I am absolutely head over heels in love with this orchid.
Okay guys, here it is, my latest and greatest addition, and also this has become one of my favored orchids, and indeed an orchid oddity for sure. Okay, so let's take a close look at this orchid. Okay, now looking at what appears to be its pseudobulbs and its growth structure. Okay, and if we take a look at the foliage, what kind of orchid could this be? I mean, it is rather thick. I mean, you have to pretty much force it to go down. Waxy. Okay, so first appearance, I would assume that perhaps it's a Cattleya. What do you guys think? Does this look like a Cattleya to you guys? Could it possibly be? Could it? Could it? Could it? What do you guys think it is? Okay, folks, if you guys guessed that this was a Cattleya, you are absolutely wrong. You are not correct. You do not pass go, and you do not collect $200. Folks, this is actually a dendrobium. A dendrobium spectabile, to be exact. Now, if you guys don't know what a dendrobium spectabile is, it's almost what the name sounds like. It's spectacular! I mean, this orchid is absolutely amazing, phenomenal, out of this world. Why? Because this orchid is also known as the alien orchid, and also known sometimes as the octopus orchid. Yeah, very descriptive name for a very unique and odd blossom shape, wouldn't you say? And if you have never seen the blossoms, oh my, oh my, oh my, it looks just like a blossom out of a sci-fi thriller. Absolutely amazing. When I first seen the blossoms, I could not believe that it was real. I mean, something so odd, something so phenomenal that looked like nature could not have possibly created something so spectacular as that. Folks, it indeed is a showstopper and a crowd gawker. Okay, you guys are going to get some pretty outlandish remarks and responses because of it. Now, of course, you know, it's also been called as an orchid that only a mother could love. Well, call me a mama because I absolutely love the blossom shape. And I'm going to show you a picture of it because, I mean, I cannot even describe how absolutely awesome the blossom is. Hey, that rhymes. I'm a poet and I don't even know it. Or maybe I do, or maybe I don't. Anyways, but folks, oh my gosh, if you guys see the blossoms, I mean, you will be absolutely amazed, again, that nature could create something so phenomenal. And the blossom is actually so outlandish and way out there that when it's created, I mean, it has so many windy, curly, petal-like shapes that it actually sometimes wraps around itself, the actual blossom, and sometimes it can't even open up. I mean, that's how outrageous these crazy blossoms are. Folks, I am so excited. Now, this is actually more or less of a, I wouldn't say a baby, it's kind of a rebellious teenager, I guess you could say. I think it's going to take maybe about 2 more years for it to possibly create a blossom, because even though this is, I guess, a pretty good size, the actual plant itself will grow to be about 3 feet or higher, folks. Did you guys hear me? 3 feet or higher. And the plant can actually weigh up to about 20 pounds or more. Okay, this plant is gonna become gargantuous, gigantic, humongous, humonga-dunga, folks. So that is definitely something that you have to think of if you want to purchase this orchid, that you indeed have to have enough space for it, because this is gonna be quite a specimen and it's gonna take up a lot of room. But folks, if you have the room, I'm telling you, it is definitely well worth it. It's going to be one of your orchids that is going to cause the most stir and get the most attention. I guarantee it. Okay, folks? And indeed, I wanted to showcase this orchid because not only am I very, very excited about this, but indeed it fits the theme because this is an Orchid Oddity! Woohoo! Woohoo! Okay, folks, and I thank you guys so much that you guys would tune in to Orchid Oddities with me, Maria Young. And of course, if you guys like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you guys have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please be sure to post those as well because I do love to hear from you guys. And if you want to see more videos such as this, please be sure to subscribe and stay updated to all of the adventures that we are venturing upon. And also, folks, I really, really, really want to hear from you guys and get your feedback on what you guys think about the Pyloric orchids. Would you get it? Would you not? I mean, what are your thoughts on it? And also, of course, the fabulous Dendrobium spectabile. What is your opinion? What's your thoughts? Would ya get it? Well, that is it, folks. Again, thank you so much for tuning in, and stay tuned for more. Mwah.